Hi, welcome to Motorcycle Tours to Spain Top Tips. Today, sleeping bags. I had a couple of emails asking about the best sleeping bag to take to Spain. So I'll do what I've done in the past whenever I've talked about kit and equipment. All I can do is tell you what I've chosen to use, and hopefully I can objectively justify why I've chosen what I have chosen, and then you can make your own mind up. I think it's a reasonable question actually asking about sleeping bags, because what you tend to find is sometimes people in the past have tried camping, so they've borrowed gear or they've got cheap gear. They don't want to invest too much while they try to see if they like it. And sometimes with the wrong kit, you can have an uncomfortable night and that puts you off camping for life, which is a shame, really, because there are so many advantages socially and mentally for camping. I love camping. And if you've got the right bed and the right bag, the right pillows, and the right tent, it's an absolutely enjoyable experience. So, perfectly good question asking about bags. This is my favorite bag. This is the bag I use probably 95% of the time. The only time I'll take a different bag to this is if I'm either in Spain at completely the wrong time of the year, I'm talking about winter, or I'm doing any camping in the UK. In those instances, I'll take a four-season bag, which is a lot bigger and a lot bulkier. But today I want to stick with the options for going on a tour to Spain. So, three-season sleeping bag. Now, when you're looking at your sleeping bag, they put on three different temperature ratings. They'll give you a comfort. That's what the bag's perfect for. A limit temperature. It's okay down to that temperature, but you don't want to go much lower. And then they'll put an extreme temperature on there. I don't think we need to talk about extreme temperature ratings. We're going nowhere near there. Now, personally, I find it easier to cool down than warm up. So if I'm going on a tour, I'm going to look at the possible coolest temperatures I'm going to have, not the hottest. So supposing I'm going down to Malaga, I'll get off the ferry in Santander. I'll have 2 nights in northern Spain where it's likely to be cooler than the journey down to Malaga and the return journey back up. So what I'll be looking at is for a bag that will keep me comfortable in the coolest parts of the trip, even though that's only 2 or 3 nights and the rest of the trip may be 2 weeks. I want to ensure that I'm comfortable for the potential coolest temperatures I get to. Because if it's too hot, you just unzip the bag and open it up and you can vent yourself. It's a lot harder in the middle of the night trying to warm up if you're, oh my goodness me, I'm cold. That's my first top tip. Whenever I use a sleeping bag, I always use a liner. I use a liner for a couple of reasons. One, it's ideal for keeping the bag clean. They're easy to wash and hang out. So halfway through a 2 week trip, you've got a fresh bed to sleep in. And if it does get too hot, you can unzip the bag but still be in your liner. So you've still got something that's on you or you're in, and you can still feel snugly, even though it's only a thin silk liner. Now, I have tested these temperature ratings on these bags, and I find them to be quite accurate actually. But just to put these tests into perspective, whenever I've checked temperatures, I've always been in a tent. I've never tried one of these bags outside under a tree or on top of a mountain somewhere. I'm always in a tent, and I'm always in quite a good quality tent, typically one that's got an inner and an outer, so a double skin tent. Also, the tents I use aren't particularly tall. I'm not a big fan of tall tents. I don't need standing room in a tent. So my tents are lower. We know hot air rises. So if you have a tent with standing room, there's a distinct possibility that any hot air is going to raise to the top of the tent and you're cooler down here. So I have tested these sleeping bags, and what I've found is that in a good quality tent, the internal temperature can be 5 or even 6 degrees warmer than the outside temperature. Now, this is a Transition 200 XL. I'll show you the profile of that here. It's slightly different shape to the Transition 200, which is here. So the XL, it is sort of a mummy bag, but it's quite a wide mummy. And I've had this down to -2 temperatures, outside temperatures. It's got a comfort rating of 6 and a limit of 1. So I pushed it a bit below its limit, but I did have thermals on, I did have socks on, and I was comfortable in it. So that is my favourite bag. It's a 3-season bag. It costs about 50, 60 quid. And the pack size isn't too bad either, and that fits lovely into my pannier. I'll just grab Natalie's bag and show you what she uses. This is Natalie's bag. Now, Natalie being female isn't as broad or as tall as I am, so her bag is slightly smaller. It's a full-on mummy, and this is a profile of it. It's a Vango Latitude Pro. It's got a comfort rating of 2, a limit of -3. So in some ways, it's a better bag than the one I use. It's got more thermal efficient properties, and because it's a full-on mummy, the pack size is actually slightly smaller than mine, and it weighs not quite the same. It's a little bit lighter. It's a little bit more expensive bag. They're about 70 odd quid. That's her bag. Yeah, she loves it. There's one more sleeping bag I'd like to mention. That's the Vango Alpha 300. We've got a couple of these sleeping bags in as part of the equipment that we hire out. New for 24, what we've got are a couple of tents. They're double skin tents, 5,000 hydrostatic head. We've got some X-Bed air mattresses, the Vango sleeping bags, and some luxury pillows. For those that haven't got the equipment, that want to come on tour and want to try camping with decent stuff, the Vango sleeping bag that we've got as part of our hire deal has got a comfort rating of 1 degree and a limit of -5. So it's arguably a better bet than either of these two we've got here. It is also an envelope rectangle sleeping bag. Although these two are mummies, we're used to sleeping bags, and they're not for everybody's taste. So we've got these. I haven't got one with me. I've left them at home, unfortunately. I meant to bring one. I haven't got one with me to show you. The pack size is pretty much the same as my Transition 200. This is 43 centimeters by 23. The Vango, part of our hire package, is 40 by 25. So all intents and purposes, that size. Cool, I think that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Ride safe